Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Rovers Report, where today we're going to be doing a little bit of a preview for tomorrow's game against Portsmouth, having a look at some of Barton's comments and just any other sort of business. But before we get into that, I just wanted to say a massive thanks for all the subscribers. We are now only one subscriber away from 500, which, it would mean a huge amount to me and Tom. So, if you are new around here and you haven't clicked subscribe, you could be the 500 subscriber, and what an honour that is. Who wouldn't want that? So be sure to
Exactly.
do.
Any chance?
What's that, mate?
I said any chance of a giveaway.
The giveaway. No, mate, I'm not made of money.
Yeah.
We'll wait for the sponsorships to come in, but we could be waiting a long time for that. But yeah, I think weirdly in this sort of, under Barton, as it's become a custom, we're going into the game and, the first topic I want to get into is actually his comments. Frustratingly, it's not about, what sort of team we're going to play or who we're coming up against. I think let's just start with that because, it was quite a big news story that the Bristol Post broke on Thursday, I think it was, basically concerning Aaron Collins' performance and what Joey Barton thought of this. I think if we look at some of the quotes he said in there, I think he said, he won't be wearing the armband on Saturday. He said that he might not even be picked for the game, which is, this is something that I think we've taken umbrage with Barton for a long time, is you don't need to say this in public. I've thought a lot about this, and for me, I think a lot of what he says about Collins and his performance is spot on. He hasn't been at it for the last couple of weeks. I think he probably has lacked a bit of effort. And that's okay if you want to give the players a dressing down in the changing rooms. But I don't see any positives of saying that in the public domain. With the captaincy thing, you could quite easily. I think Finley may be coming back this weekend. And if he is, you just give it to Finley, and there wouldn't be any noise about it. People would say, "Fair enough, Finley's come in, taking the captaincy back," and Collins wouldn't be sat there feeling bad about it, having everybody know the players in the staff's business. It's just frustrating that he's come out and done this, put pressure on a player. And I said this to you over message, didn't I, mate, yesterday, is that, I can already see it now. If you're looking at it from a pessimistic point of view, Collins feels undervalued by the manager. He pushes for a move in the summer because he's unsettled and he wants out. We're forced to take a bid which is well below his value. And that would all be a direct action of Joey Barton. So, it's frustrated me. I know it's frustrated you, mate, and I know you've got a few bits you want to say about this. So,
it's a bit of a weird one, mate, to be honest, because I actually feel like Collins hasn't really been too out of form. I mean, he scored against Oxford, didn't he? He also assisted, I think it was Marquis's first goal against Forest Green. If Coburn had scored those two one-on-ones on Tuesday, that would be another 2 assists to the tally. I mean, I think he has 26 GA this season. It's another crass comment from Barton. I think it's really odd, to be honest. This whole sort of stripping him of the captaincy is also, I think, a complete load of hogwash because it was fairly obvious that if Coots and or Finley are in the side, then they're obviously captain. I think it's fairly clear that Collins is only really captaining the side at the moment because of absences. So I think it's incredibly odd to be making those comments at this point of the season, considering, as I mentioned in our video on Wednesday, Collins would be pretty much close to the relegation zone. So it's not really how I'd expect a football manager to behave. But then again, we are, I guess, used to this.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, just a few things I want to touch on there, which you just brought up, which is true, is, that could have been a complete non-story. Collins gives the captaincy back to other players, absolutely fine. Could have been a non-story. No noise made about it, and we'd all move on. Just something I'd like to go on, actually, is I do find it interesting, it seems like a weird move from Barton. He sort of contradicts himself where he says, I don't want players to get above their station. I don't want Collins to think he's too big of a star. Yet he gave him the captaincy when, for me, I would have, Barton likes to be, I think he models himself as a very traditional man, hardworking, And I would have thought that ethos would have fitted in with never giving the striker the captaincy. Certainly not that, the type of player that Collins is. Potentially you could see Marquis being a captain, a bit of an older head, someone that puts themselves about a bit and is physical, strong, will get the, you can't imagine Collins being in the changing room fucking geeing everyone up. And there is the argument, who else would it be? I do get that, to be fair, because a lot of managers don't like giving it to keepers. Obviously, Belshaw had a bit of a layoff due to Barton not selecting him, and then the only other player you're really looking at there is Sinclair, and obviously as a winger, that's quite there. But yeah, that was just something I wanted to say about there. But moving on to this, if I can play devil's advocate as such, just to, I think Barton, a lot of what he says has good groundings. We all saw it last season. His non-negotiables is hard work, putting the effort in for the team, tenacity, and that's what so many of our good performances have been built upon. So it's annoying because if he said it in the right manner, some of the stuff he could be saying would really be drawing the fans in, and we get behind him. If he said something like about Collins, look, Collins is one of our best players, and to get the best out of him, we need him to be putting the effort in. And he's proved that for the last 18 months or so. And it was a bit of a slip up, but I'm sure we can get back to it. I don't think anyone would have a complaint about that. It doesn't need to be this rash and reactionary and thinking, okay, Collins has had a couple of poor games and suddenly, we need to lambast him in front of the whole public. It doesn't need to be like that, because he's got good ideas, and his philosophy is something that I do tend to agree with and think it's beneficial for the club. So it just frustrates me that he needs to say it in such a weird way.
Yeah, I agree, but it's an interesting one because it's a different situation to not just the Luke Thomas scenario where he was called out in the press by Barton, but also it's a different situation to the Belshaw case where Ellery Bolkin came in and replaced Belshaw. It's not like that's happened. Obviously, that seems to have sort of been recovered, but I think the Luke Thomas situation as well was the fact that he wasn't really performing at all. So it is I agree. I feel like you can take a slightly different perspective on this, I guess, by playing devil's advocate. But then again, as I said, I don't think Collins is too out of form. He scored against Oxford. That was 3 games ago. Assisted against Forest Green. So, could have had 2 assists, as I said. So it's quite a drastic action to take against someone who has pretty much kept us afloat at times this season.
Yeah. What my fear about this is you look at all these sort of incidents we've had over the last couple of months, and they've all been, in my opinion, deflection tactics. The Belshaw incident, the Collins incident now, the pitch, all of these is essentially Barton just not taking ownership of where he's gone wrong. And, I don't think it can carry on, because by the end of this, I think Sam Frost did an article in the Bristol Post, and he sort of listed out all the players this has happened to: Bobby Thomas, Luke Thomas. You think, fucking hell, at some point this squad is going to get tired of that. But yeah, I think I'm happy to. Those are my thoughts on it. We don't want to spend the whole video ranting about Barton. If you got any sort of closing comments on that, mate?
Well, I know we've had a little joke about the sort of like Kaizen philosophy and how Barton sort of tries to adhere his sort of way of life, I guess, towards that philosophy. Part of that is accepting what is. It doesn't seem like Barton is very good, or has been very good recently, at accepting what is, especially with the pitch. It's probably still better than most pitches in the league. Just blaming that, I think, and saying that I can't remember the comment. There was an odd comment about bringing in different, like somebody else or something regarding the pitch. I just think it's really odd, and looking for scapegoats isn't what we need. We aren't safe. We're not going up. So we really need to just kick on. I think after sort of this little blip on Tuesday, we need to really just continue.